All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to you to the Decoders of Truth channel tonight. And we're going to talk about the Brett Kavanaugh confirmation. We're going to talk about the complete loss of civility and courtesy, just a complete breakdown of any type of human decency. We're going to talk about, is this the end of the age? Somehow social media always gets up into this. We're going to talk about a lot of things. And Jay, you know, I don't even watch TV anymore. I don't watch the news. I got trapped over at my mother's, watching CNN, talking about the confirmation of Kavanaugh. And it is just absurd to me. My mother and my stepfather, very intelligent people, both with doctorate degrees, not dummies. And they buy this whole liberal agenda, hook, line, and sinker. And they would kill people if they could to prevent the nomination of Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court. How have we become little better than animals, Jay Campbell?
Great question, Jeffrey. And how are you, brother? And I know you only have like about 10 more days left.
That's right.
So we can get back to your channel. And it's very unfortunate, but I know it's going to create more momentum for us because, as you know, the channel was exploding.
It still is, strangely enough, and I'm happy about that.
So that's what I was just going to say to you is, like, I can't imagine that we're getting, more messages and emails, both of us, all across the world. People are sending us messages. We appreciate you guys. Again, as I always say, without you guys, Jeff and I wouldn't exist. So we appreciate your intel. We appreciate your tips. We appreciate your emails. I mean, it's all amazing.
Jay, let me read something before we get started on this. I'm reading out of The Secret Science, and it says, each person has a dominant vibration, which is like a selector dial that tunes the individual with similar vibrations. One who vibrates pain will find pain. One who vibrates poverty will find poverty. One who vibrates illness will find illness. One who vibrates love will find love. One who vibrates hate receives hate. Love and be loved, hate and be hated, despise and you will be despised. And that's exactly what's happening to us in the political spectrum, and it's bleeding into the rest of the world. There's no civility anymore, and there's no wonder it's a world full of hate because everybody is hating.
Back to your original question, and yes, 100%. And guys, again, if you have questions, Jeff and I'll answer them. Just type them in the chat as we go through this tonight. We're not gonna have as many people watching live because obviously the Decoders of Truth YouTube channel is not that big, but if you do have questions, we will get to them at the end. Jeff, we definitely find ourselves in very interesting times. I'm like you, and I do not watch anything of any substance on television, with the exception of maybe a highlight on ESPN at night because it's college football season. I might see an NFL, somebody texts me and says, oh my God, did you see so-and-so? And again, I'm completely removed from sports. That's obviously escapism too. But I don't watch any of that. And it's funny that you brought that up because that would be the only way that I would see it too, is if I was with relatives. That's what people watch. But Jeff, when you gather what these people are doing and seeing, and you're right, the narrative has been created where we are now as a nation, as people in the United States, completely divided down the middle. If not, maybe not even down the middle, and that there's more quote unquote leftists, liberals, whatever you want to call them, progressives. There may be a higher percentage of them. I don't know, but it's just as Derek Bro says, it's just as you and I continue to say. I wrote about it today in my email. The only way to play in this day and age, if you are a woke person, if you truly have conscious awareness, is to opt out. Now, as hard as that is for so many people because they want to pick a side, they've been brainwashed, Jeff, their whole lives to be entrenched, to adopt a mantra, to be a right-wing conservative, Republican, Bible-thumping, gun-tooting, or to be a leftist, an idealist, a college-educated, Harvard, ideologue, where we cannot get down into the, with the hoi polloi and the bourgeois. I mean, this is all a narrative architected and engineered by the rulers. And again, the rulers, whatever you want to name them, okay? But this is what we find ourselves in now, Jeff. And again, the scary part is, if you're one of those people, meaning like our families, our parents, our people that are not in what we do and they're connected to, as Baines would say, the central computer of human consciousness, dude, they've got it all riled up.
Yeah. But Jay, what about us too? I mean, there's people right here in this chat room, and maybe right here in one of these two screens that have said things like, we hate Hillary Clinton. We'd put a bullet in her head if we could get away with it. Don't we sometimes on the right or sometimes in the truth movement also fall into the same hatred of the cabal? And how do you not hate a cabal that's involved in human sacrifice and child sacrifice and all manners of evil? What do we do with the cabal? Do we hate them, or do we stay out of hate to keep our vibration away from that?
I mean, it's an awesome question, dude. And obviously we both know that we live in a duality world, and hate becomes love and love becomes hate, and dark becomes night and night becomes day. I mean, it's a great question. And that's what they want us. They want us divided. They want us always at one side of the spectrum, the polarity, and then to try to drop it on us. And you and I are, obviously doing the work and knowing that you have to be able to forgive your enemies. Yeah. So, I mean, people like me and you have to be able to forgive Hillary and Bill and Obama and all of these other dark, beings, just as those people on that side need to be able to forgive us. And very, very clearly, if that was to happen, and again, Baines talks about it in The Secret Science, I hate giving it away, but I'll just say, the main gist of the book, and I don't know if you've gotten that far yet now, is world peace. We talked about it on last week's show. And world peace.
Yeah, I've got only that much left. I'm almost
okay.
done.
Yeah, so you've gotten to that part. So world peace is literally the foundational precepts to eliminate the archons, to eliminate the negative vibration, the etheric, net that whatever they put around the planet. Because human beings, how we were engineered, remember original one pole, divine feminine, divine masculine. We have that holographic fragment of God, the creator of all source, in us. And if we're all vibrating consciously of world peace, meaning there's no conflict, there's no murder, there's no suicide, there's no violence, there's no vaccines, there's no GMO food, there's no desecration of our environment. I remember Mother Earth, somebody asked me about this today on Twitter today. Yes, this planet is a living, breathing, conscious organism, and we are desecrating her. And she isn't going to have much of it for much longer. So again, it's that whole.
Baines says she'll fight back.
Exactly. It's the whole thing. We already know she has multiple times. I mean, These extinction level events, we don't know if they're comets. For all we know, it's just her just shaking the planet.
And people are talking about, is the cabal running these hurricanes? Are these hurricanes created? Are these hurricanes directed for maximum damage? Maybe they are. And maybe it's Mother Earth saying, the hell with you guys. I've had enough.
I think it's both. I mean, we know that HAARP definitely radiates the ionosphere. We know that they control the weather. We know that they've been able to do. I mean, again, this is Freedom of Information Act stuff. You can. Well,
she is a god, Jay. She might be using people to do her bidding.
She absolutely is God. I mean, Mother Earth is the Holy Spirit. You can read about this in the Gnostic teachings. I mean, obviously, we're reading Baines. It's very, very well talked about. It's in an Anunnaki book. But I mean, back to your point. I mean, it's a really weird time we find ourselves in, and the only way I can describe it is we have to be doing what you and I do every day. We're consciously opting out. Jeff, I don't have any anchor to that stuff. I don't see, sure. You and I, because we're, internet marketers, we're entertainers, whatever you want to classify us on the web, we put out content. We definitely have to be connected. Yeah, we have to connect, but we don't have to be attached to it. And again, we don't have to pick a side. Only reason I know about Kavanaugh is because I see what's on Twitter. I'm not watching the news. I don't care. I don't pay attention to people that want me to get into that. I'm not arguing with my colleagues or my friends or people.
I don't even look at Drudge Report anymore. I'm not even doing
that. No, bro. Honestly, I have not. Dude, that is absolutely bizarre that you just said that, because somebody sent me a link today after my email went out, because I always get people responding to the email because the list is so big, about, did you see this article? And I already sent you that link. And that came off the Drudge Report. And I am not kidding you, bro. I have not been to the Drudge Report in years.
Oh, the one about the extinction of humanity came off the Drudge Report.
Yeah, it was just a link from the Mirror, which we'll get to, later.
I'll tell you, though, every time I run out of ideas for a show, I'll go on the Drudge Report, and I'll find something there for sure.
God bless Matt Drudge. God bless Matt Drudge.
I will find something there for sure. But, in this book, and I'm having debates even with people that are woke, people that I really like, people that are very smart, and people that are very intelligent. This book is talking about developing optimism and blocking out negative, blocking out low vibration, blocking out and smart people, woke people are arguing, well, that's just not real. That's just not reality. We have to, I'm like, no, get rid of anything that's not optimistic. Get rid of everything that's not positive. Get it out of your mind, because dudes and dudettes, it's only the optimism, the positivity that's going to carry us through.
So I was actually going to bring that up tonight before we close, before we shut it down, because I know
that's my story and I'm sticking to it.
No, it's awesome, dude. I'm really glad. We're so connected. You have no idea how much you and I are connected without even being connected. Because honestly, guys, Jeff and I talk, some weeks a lot and other times not at all. Like, I was at a doctor's conference last weekend. And Jeff, what did you and I talk since last Monday? Maybe 4 times, literally.
Well, now that I'm not in crisis daily, I don't call you as much.
Yeah, but you and I used to text each other a lot. In the last couple of weeks, we haven't communicated as much. So anyway, I'm just saying we're not as connected as you would think us to be, so that we're pulling off, a con here.
And we're across a continent from each other. I'm in Florida. You're in California.
That's right. We are. So, dude, this book, which I started to talk to you guys about last week. So this is Bain's last book. This book, now I'm only granted 52 pages in, and it's 141 pages, is absolutely, I know it's hard for me to say this, it's actually better than both Stellar Man and The Secret Science.
But you said this was the best book you ever read.
Well, I hadn't read this yet. So here's the difference between those two books. So both Stellar Man and Secret Science are amazing. And they stand out above, and they're in a class by themselves, as you found out. But this book takes the precepts that he puts in those two books and literally creates you a strategy guide of how to apply this to your life.
And content creators ask, Jay, what are your thoughts on Manly P. Hall and the Secret Teachings of All Ages? And you've said this before, but go ahead and roll that by.
Well, I mean, it's a great book, and I read that book like 3 or 4 times, and I keep it. It's actually a highlighted book. It's in my. I actually just moved it to the bookcase in my new office here, but I've referred back to that a million times. Gerald Clark and I have gone back to the dragon Poimander and Enki in Thoth in the garden and the riddle and the metaphor of that subject. But that's an amazing book. But it's more of a compendium of the story of mankind across the ages, where really, as you know, Jeff, Baines is just giving you information about the Hermetic Masters and how to apply Hermetical teachings to your life. Well, this book, dude, I just want to give you guys I'm not reading anything. I just want to give.
We've got a Caroline debate going on in the chat room, and I'm just wondering who was Sweet Caroline that Neil Diamond wrote about. I'm just.
So check this out. So on page 25, after he gives you a summary of Stellar Man and Secret Science, you get to this. He says, therefore, perhaps the time now for me is to reveal what inner wealth is. And then he has 3 pages of the most mind-blowing, incredible 32 numbers of what matters in life. The first one, and this is mind-blowing. Money has no intrinsic value, and 95% of it is created by private banks via credit.
Oh, there we go. Fiat.
So he literally just goes down through 32.
Don't get Caroline Amrita started, Jay.
32 inner wealth laws, dude. Spiritual resources, nature's assets, material resources to achieve one's desires. I mean, I'm telling you, this is a high-level summary of okay, you read those other 2 books, do this and put this into your life. It's incredible.
Slightly slanted sleuth with the truth. Nice to see you.
Dude, just a mind-blowing book. Anyway,
so what's all this deal with JFK Jr. and with Trump and Q and all this?
No clue. I don't even read Q, guys. Honestly, I don't look at it. I used to have people send it to me. I don't pay attention to it anymore at all. Whether it's disinfo or not, it definitely has achieved its goal of awakening a lot of people, or at least making people aware of this narrative. Whether the narrative is false or not, I don't believe the narrative is false. I was very open last week on our show, if you remember, and I'm saying that well, actually, you know what? I just put this out there because I forgot it was after the show. So when they started putting the book lists out, which was, I think, Thursday or Wednesday of last week, and I was at this doctor's conference, and I started getting screenshots from our group on WhatsApp about the books from Peter Moon, which you and I read and started chasing about a year ago. I knew, because those books are so deep and so amazing, I knew that this was not fake. I knew that whoever is involved in Q is definitely either interdimensional or part of, quote unquote, what I call the Gnostic Illuminati, which again is this faction, this secret society that's been in the shadows for a long time that's coming out to try to help us. because it's just too deep. But that's just my belief. Now, obviously, we know that the CIA, we know that Derek has told us too, with Anons, there's so many disinformers, there's so many people that are on one side and then on another, and they're constantly putting information out there. And again, truth with error. There's nothing that's like, oh, wow, you have to take everything as it says.
Yeah. And here's a little Cliff Notes version on that whole JFK Jr. thing. Here's the theory. JFK Jr. faked his own death and has been working with Trump for years on a plan of taking out the deep state. Obviously, JFK Jr. has motivation after they took out his dad.
I've seen that before. And again, I can say this, the Kavanaugh guy who's now long gone off Twitter, supposedly a Pleiadian soul, channeled soul or whatever through that person on. He said he said many times that Trump was friends with JFK and that Trump's family was friends with JFK Jr. And that Trump basically said that if he could go back and get these horrible psychopathic, quote unquote cabal leaders at some point, he would. So, I mean, dude, at this point, anything is possible. Let's just to go back to the original point, because we've rabbit holed here with Kavanaugh. There was a really good video from David, whatever his name is, Robert David Steele, the ex-CIA agent, and the guy is a very legitimate source, in my opinion, of intel coming out of quote unquote black ops or alphabet soup agencies, because he was a 10-year CIA agent. And that video that I posted in the Decoders of Truth, which is actually on here too, is that actually? Oh, you know what?
Jay, do you think it's QAnon? It could be something not of this world, a positive force?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think 100%. I mean, again, Kavanaugh was saying that it was off-world or interdimensional or angelic or whatever, galactic. I mean, again, this is what Gerald Clark sent me 4 days ago, because today's Monday.
We need to get some smart women on this channel too, Jay. It's too much dude-oriented all the time.
That's fine. I'm sure we can. I mean, women listen to us. We get tons of comments from women. I mean,
the thing I'm most proud of, Jay, I just checked before we came on the show. Now we're just a few short of 26,000 subscribers.
Nice.
51% male, 49% female. I bet there's not another channel on YouTube that could boast that.
So there you go. So we do have plenty. But and by the way, guys, we're not going to be on this channel for very long. But if you want to subscribe to get the Decoders of Truth, please do.
Please do.
But yeah, so back to that. What was the last thing I just said right before you hit me with the
right before I interrupted you? I can't remember.
Right before you rabbit holed me. I forgot. We were talking about I know I'd said something about Kavanaugh and JFK.
Yeah, and he's off YouTube and
no, I just should I it's with Kavanaugh. So David Steele, Robert David Steele said that McCain was executed. Okay, and he was the first killed in the military tribunals. Now, again, I don't look at this, but I had people in the last 2 days send me clip shots of the Q posts, and evidently on September 6th or 7th or something like that, or 8th, one of those days, he was putting in there about military tribunals and Kavanaugh. Now, this was way before Kavanaugh was confirmed, and people even knew Kavanaugh was going to the whole thing with Kavanaugh was going to happen. So again, it seems like they have a really good idea of what's happening from a timeline standpoint. But Steele in the video, and again, you guys, I'm sorry it's not on YouTube right now. I promise I will go in and I will post it. I actually did put it in the Zoom, but it doesn't update on the YouTube channel. But if you're in Decoders of Truth, you can go and you can fact check me and you can look at all those videos. But Steele said that Kavanaugh is going to execute a lot of people.
Kavanaugh?
He's going to be the guy, they have a 3-2, majority now, and he is going to be the guy that's going to bring down the hammer. And you got to understand, the military tribunals, Trump signed the legislation, and I can't remember what it was, but it was early in this year. I think it was in December, or it may have been early January. But it basically said that if you are an enemy combatant, you do not face the system of jurisprudence, which is the legislative branch in the United States, or excuse me, the judicial branch in the United States, and you can be convened in a military tribunal. And if you are found as an enemy combatant, bye-bye. Yeah. Your meat suit is going to be expired.
Yep.
So
and I've lived for 6 years under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, and it's not in your favor, ladies and gentlemen.
Dude, he said straight up in that video, and again, I encourage guys, if you're into the Codes of Truth, to watch that video. It's on the XR or whatever it is, 22 report on YouTube. They've got a big group following. It was video from Saturday or Friday, or I'm sorry, I think it was Friday. But he basically says, and I watched the whole video, it's 31 minutes long. He says, look, he is going to carry out a lot of executions. A lot of these people in the deep state, however you want to define them, are going bye-bye. So to me, that was pretty interesting. And again, just watch the video and listen to the things he says. He has a lot of reveals, a lot of big reveals. But he said, and the one thing that caught my attention and really surprised me was that he flat out said, he goes, all these people are looking for confirmation that what Q says is going to happen. He's like, bros, ladies and gentlemen, it's already happened. You're missing a lot of these people who are normally in the news because they are on lockdown, they are running, they are, attempting to like make deals. So he just said, just be watching. There's going to be a lot of movement in the next like 30 to 45 days. He said through November, there's going to be a lot of movement. So interesting enough, it was kind of fascinating to hear that Kavanaugh they're just going to straight up pull military tribunals on people. So we'll see. It could all be a ruse, like we don't know. Just like Derek says,
talking about it. I haven't seen it, but they keep talking about it. We'll know.
Yeah, we know that McCain has been eliminated. He's gone, so he's either dead or in Gitmo or executed. Now he's not the second person that said it was executed. And the funny thing is, in the video, he did say that Senator Kasich, which we all saw in the little byline, where he mistakenly said, we know that Senator McCain's been executed or killed or however he said it. So he
death, I think he said, put to death.
Yeah, put to death. He used that clip and said, look, it's, do the math. Why would he say something like that? So, anyway, that to me was like interesting. And so the second point is, and again, I have a link to an article that I found that somebody sent to me today. It was on Twitter, of course, of once Kavanaugh was confirmed. The reaction of the leftists, the progressives, whatever you want to call them, that were at the courthouse is literally one of the most fascinating things, Jeff, that I have ever seen in my life. I mean, there were grown men and women and like young, and they were mostly white. I'm not racist or just labeling people, but I'm just saying they were mostly white, like young, 20-something, men, if you want to call them men. They look like women who reacted in the same way. And it was, I'm telling you, if you watch these videos of these people screaming, blood-curdling, startling screams, throwing their bodies against the fucking, the door of the courthouse, scratching at it like their lives are about to end. I'm telling you, man, we have reached a culmination. There's a line now in the sand, proverbially, where people they want blood. You can see the articles, Jeff, that's come out since he was confirmed, which obviously happened on Saturday morning. And I'm telling you right now, Soros and his gang of lackeys is doing an amazing job of instituting or stirring up people who want blood. It's like you said, your parents. This mindset that these people have that there has to be blood. It's leading to something, bro.
Yeah, right before I moved back to Clearwater 3 or 4 years ago, I was actually, dating is a strong word, but I'd been out on a couple of dates with this girl, and she's really nice, woke, and I thought things were going good, and somehow we turned to politics, and this was before the Trump Hillary thing, and I mentioned that I was going to vote for Trump, and she actually, this woke, spiritual supposedly woman, we just are talking about astral projection and stuff. Was sitting there telling me that Donald Trump needed to be murdered. I'm like, wait a second. We were just talking about astral projection, and now you're talking about a man needs to lose his life because you don't like his politics? What's wrong with this picture? Strangely enough, she never came back to my house, so...
Strangely enough.
Strangely enough. But, there's no civility. It's just crazy what people think and do, and I guess... We have to buck up, and we have to cowboy up and cowgirl up, and we've got to be the ones that stop hating. We don't have to like the left. We don't have to coddle the left. We don't have to let the left run us over. But I don't think that we can continue to express hatred towards the left if we're going to try to raise our own vibration, the vibration of this planet.
No, and that's the right thing to say. But I mean, bro, we have to be also more honest that like what we're seeing right now, I don't know if anything can be done about this. I mean, again, I just go back to the historic people like Nostradamus, Albert Pike, all of these seers who talk about, you know, what happens is the war to end all wars, which is the Third World War, which is the end, you know, essentially the end of separation of religions, of, you know, denominations, you know, the war to end like Arabs versus Christians, Christians versus Jews, Jews versus Buddhists. I'm telling you, dude, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to look around and see what is being engineered. And again, this is all being engineered. We know that we're in a lucid dream. Okay, we know we can just opt out at any moment in time. At least we have the sovereign soul capacity to do so. But it's weird, like, you know, plugging into the matrix and observing what you're observing and seeing this. And I don't know if there's a way to get beyond it. You know, like, again, in the matrix right now, I don't know if we can fix it. I want to hope there is, and I'm looking for divine intervention. But I don't know, dude. All you have to do is read John Pinella's tweets. He is a machine all of a sudden now on Twitter. He's tweeting like 4 or 5 times on the hour. I mean, I could share the screen with you guys, and I could read some of his tweets today, but they're fascinating. If you're not following John Pinella, it's the Divine Secret Garden on Twitter. You have to do it because he's putting out some incredible, incredible messages.
How about this from the secret science, Jay? Since we're talking about this, the only path to the evolution and salvation of the human race is the domination of its bestiality through the spirit or divine part.
Exactly. The bestiality is the reptilian side of us. It's the devil. It's Lucifer. It's his.
So we have to dominate that reptilian part of us, that bestial part of us, and emerge victorious with the spiritual and the divine part. Now, how do you war from your spiritual and divine part and defeat an enemy? That's very fascinating, but I'm convinced that's what we need to do. That's when I wake up every morning wondering, how am I going to win this? Because I think we can win, Jay. I know that I'm the last of the great optimists, and even the people that love me think I'm silly, but I really believe that our optimism, our positivity, our divinity, our sovereignty, our freedom will win the day. And when the smoke clears, we're still standing.
It starts with positive attitudes, as it says in the book. It starts with generating a positive vibration. It's right here in this book right here. The human being needs a higher science to evolve. I highlighted this, of course. Different from the science currently available. One which offers not only information but also wisdom. Mankind needs a defragmented science that focuses on the species' most important needs. To break the somnambulistic, the sleeping condition, which is what everybody is in, in order to implement a model of perception that includes intensified wakefulness and is suitable for evolution towards higher states of consciousness.
And then he asks a fascinating question. I've always wondered this. He says, why is the image of Jesus Christ still nailed to the cross maintained as if it were necessary to celebrate, remember, and perpetuate this event?
Exactly. Dude, and then the next sentence I wanted to read, first, human beings need to understand and accept that they are animals in a process of humanization.
That's
exactly
absolutely
right.
true. Problem is, 70% of y'all is still animals.
76.
76%. And that ain't the spirit of 76 that we want, ladies and gentlemen.
It's incredible, dude. I mean, that's absolutely true. And it goes back to your books with the Elohim and the reptilian side and who wins. And it takes, as Bain said, it takes, as Bain says, a conscious and concerted effort of doing the work. And you guys know what doing the work is. I write about it every week. We talk about it every show. Okay. And then getting as many of us to vibrate in that capacity to change all of this. And I don't even know if it's possible. Again,
Does it even matter, Jay, when humanity is going to be functionally infertile within just a few years? The race will actually go extinct?
We're going to get to that in a minute, man. But I want to stay on this because you got me going on Baines. I mean, it's very true. It's like, no matter what we see that's going on around us, and obviously it can be really dark, and if you go down those rabbit holes of media, and by the way, dude, it's so funny that you're like leading me down this path because that's exactly what he says. He says in the first chapter, he says, I wanted to read this. it's so fun. It's amazing that you just said that. He says, I believe that
I have my moments, Jay. I have my moments of.
No, I mean, I don't even know how that came up. It's just like you and I are being led down the same. There's no coincidences. I believe that the simplest way to prove that the animal side exists in humans is by checking the daily media with its accounts of criminal behavior, acts of terrorism, pedophilia. Remember, this book was written a long time ago. Rape, forced child labor, theft, fraud, torture, wars, and so on and so forth. The news is not a showcase for a high level of civilization. On the contrary, it is an exhibition of an unprecedented daily violence, corruption, misconduct, and lack of respect for one's fellow human beings. Yep. Dude,
calling humans animals is an insult to animals, Jay, in reality.
It's sad, brother. I mean, it's hard to fathom all of this and to put your head around and to wrap your head around all this, like, because there are many of us I know that are trying to evolve, trying is a poor word, are choosing to evolve. But as I always say, and I was talking to my good friend Jason this weekend, and you're not there yet, but you're really close. But at the very end of the book, Bain says, look, the answer is to become a truly stellar man, to dominate and crush the human animal, so that you become a stellar man. And remember, a stellar man defined is a man who is literally consciously not in this dimension. His physical body, his meat suit stays here. So he's still in this realm of material and form, third dimension simulation. But his consciousness is elevated beyond this. He says that you have to give up your personality traits. Now, your personality traits, to me, are ego, and obviously being in a family and being a dad and being connected to the money magic system like I am, making money, doing the things you have to do to be in the system. So you still do. You don't have to go to a cave. You don't have to go to a cave in Tibet and check out. But if you're really going to be a stellar man, you can't have any elements of the I, the personality. You have to be above all of that. So it's a choice one has to make. And for me, it's like, and it's not a cop-out or excuse. I don't see how I can do it, being a father and being a husband and being, a business owner and living in this system. Yeah. I don't know how you can do it.
And yet in the midst of all this, Jay, 70% of woke women doing an Instagram, doing a
social media, bro. We both talked about it off of air today.
And that's woke women.
Social media is the destroyer of the soul.
It is.
I mean, we already know that the AI, whatever it is, the Archon, whoever is behind it, is creating this field of, now it's going on to 5G. I mean, this is destroying us. I mean, we're going to get to that, and then the byproducts, the physical byproducts, the EDCs, the electromagnetic interference, the frequencies. This is killing us. It's just, it's really tough, man. I mean, something is going to come. We all know that. It's going to, in my opinion, it's going to happen within the next 5 to 10 years. That doesn't mean humanity is going to end. John Pinella says it's going to happen in the next 3 years. But there's so many, Og Tells is another guy that I've been looking at. Dude, there's so many possibilities, infinite realities, different dimensional planes. Anything can happen. Everything is possible and anything is impossible. There's no way to figure out what may or may not happen. But as a species, it is beholden to us to raise our vibration.
It is. We have to raise our vibration. And the only way you can raise your vibration is to block things of low vibration. Yeah.
I mean, and it's a choice, man. I mean, and I really do believe that opting out is the best way, safest way to go. Just like Derek has said, very brilliantly, you cannot choose a side.
You can't pick a side.
If you're on a side, you automatically have enemies. So let me give you guys an example of a day, and then we'll get to the last two topics. We'll read the Great White Brotherhood, and if there's any questions, we can answer questions. But like if you're going through your day, okay, I'll just give you me. It's a perfect example. I'm a father. I have 2 children. Actually, I have 5 children, but 2 biologicals, and then my bonus daughter, Alana, Monica's daughter, who lives with us every other week, and then my 2 bonus sons. I only see one of them, but Evan. I wake up in the morning. I do my stuff. I don't check the news. I don't get on social media. I don't connect to anything that would make me want to say like, oh, I hate the Democrats or the progressives. I mean, everybody who knows me knows that I'm pretty much an anarchist, pro-testosterone guy, but I cannot connect to any of that stuff. I cannot call people or text people or communicate with people about politics. I can't do it. I can't tell them I'm a practicing Christian, I'm practicing Catholic, blah, blah, blah. Anything that's connected to the mainstream, you cannot be connected to. Now, obviously, you're going to be connected to social media. You're going to be on computers. You got to use technology probably for your business, however you make money. We all have to pay bills and issues, just like Rex says. But you don't have
bills and issues.
Bills and issues. We all got them. The reality is you don't have to connect. You don't have to be on the side of something, you know. And again, to me, the sides are all generated by the matrix, the construct.
You know what's interesting, Jay, is you would just mention that since I got back from South Florida, like my day today, I got up and I made a bunch of divining rods because I got way behind on my orders of divining rods. So I made a bunch of divining rods, and then I packaged them up and I mailed them, and then I sat down and had to do a whole bunch of cards of truth readings because I got way behind on those, and I managed to make a couple of shows as well, and that was my day.
Right. Yeah. There you go. But
I'm living in a trailer in Clearwater, and it's all about choices, isn't it?
It 100% is, man. You know, you can share your truth, but make sure that you're not picking a side. I mean, ever since Derek really said that to me, I mean, I don't think I was naturally picking a side. I mean, clearly in my mission in life and what I do, you know, from an optimization standpoint and stuff like that, you know, I usually will side with people that are pro-testosterone, pro-hormone optimization, outside of the sick care, you know, realm. But that doesn't mean that I'm like anti or doesn't choose me to be anti the other sides. I just don't, you know, get into debates with people.
And Jay, it has to be said too that, and I've been asked this, and I wanted to just make sure, because again, we're 51% male, 49% female on this channel, that Jay Campbell's, I forgot the name of your metabolic blowtorch, and your work is just as effective for women as it is for men, is it not? You also do hormone optimization therapy for women as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and the TOT Bible, there's a whole chapter in there for women. Chapter 19 is all for women. It's actually probably, I mean, I've gotten this from the medical community, and I was just at a medical conference this week. It's probably the most thorough. It's 48 pages. It's the biggest chapter in the actual book. It's a 600-page book. It has, and there's 21 chapters, so it's 48 pages. So it's more thorough on optimizing a woman's hormones and endocrine system and biological systems than any book previous to it. And my wife,
you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Jay Campbell saves his biggest chapter for the ladies.
Always. But I mean, my wife wrote the chapter with another brilliant doctor by the name of Dr. Jim Meehan. Dr. Jim is a very woke guy. He's like actually one of the loudest and most outspoken anti-vaccination physicians in the world. He's a brilliant guy. He's actually watched our show a couple times, Jeff, and he's in the Decoders of Truth.
Excellent.
Yeah, amazing dude. I'll be with him in about 3 weeks, and I talk to him regularly. And obviously, he's on our podcast, the Doctors Podcast, on Wednesdays. But
are we proponents of anarchy?
You what?
Are we proponents of anarchy?
We're definitely, in a statistical evaluation or a definition of anarchy, yes, because we're for the overthrow of the system.
Absolutely.
How can you not be? I mean, again, if you're talking about opting out, okay, this is very simple. I want to bring this up because people ask me this all the time. If you are deluded into believing that your vote matters, you support the system. Your vote doesn't matter. They don't count your vote. This isn't a democracy. It never has been. If you understand the Electoral College, which most people don't, you never, ever, 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 ever made a difference standing in a ballot box to vote for the President of the United States. They don't give a shit about your vote. It doesn't matter. You've been lied to. You don't understand what's going on. Your vote does not matter. Stop voting. I tell people this all the time. The only way that this divide and conquer strategy will ever fall is if people opt out. No one should be voting. No one should ever vote. How are you going to ever initiate change by voting on one side? You're choosing a side. Stop voting. Don't vote. Don't register to vote. When they hit you at the mall or Walmart or Target or wherever you go and say, hey, sir, are you a registered voter? Look them in the eyes and say, absolutely effing not. Why would I want to be part to some slave system? Or whatever you want to say. See what they say to you when they do that, though.
You know, Mark Twain lived a while ago, and Mark Twain said that if voting was that important, they wouldn't let us do it.
Exactly. Duh. People are so stupid. No offense. Don't vote. It's a scam. All right. So the next topic is kind of important. And full disclosure, I do have a monetary vested interest in this. It's mostly for the doctor because, you know, I bring the doctors on this stuff too. Everything they do is for free. Okay. But on this webinar, because we're putting information out there and I can only, you know, get it to 100 people on the webinar, I do charge for it. It's $49. The last webinar I did was $24. This one's more expensive. But this information that we're bringing to the market on endocrine disrupting chemicals is the first person or persons that have ever brought this theory to humanity. I mean, we're literally going to be presenting and publishing research on a syndrome called testosterone resistance syndrome. Okay. Now, I'm going to share just a little bit in this because it's obviously more important for people that are going to pay for the actual webinar to get this information. And Dr. Keith Nichols, who is my webinar co-presenter in the webinar, is really the guy that's doing the research on this. So essentially what I'm about to tell you guys is most people aren't going to believe this, but it's true. The endocrine disrupting chemicals, which we know are everywhere, we cannot escape them. They're coming out of our laptop. They're coming out of this this microphone. They're in the air ducts. They're on the plastic of the phone. They're everywhere. They're in your car. Okay. They're in your bed when you sleep at night. They're everywhere. Okay. Yeah. And they've been everywhere for the last 25 to 30 years. Okay. Well, what we found out is that cellularly, they are in addition to, so here's what we knew or thought we knew. We knew that, and again, I'm not going to go too esoteric on you guys so I blow your minds or anything because I don't want to get like really stupid into endocrinology and molecular biology. But in the cells, the estrogen byproducts have been increasing, the endocrine byproducts have been increasing what is called estrogen signaling. So it's mimicking the estrogen receptors in your body, which you have them everywhere. You have receptors of estrogen all over your body, both male and female. Okay, everyone who's a woman knows what estrogen is. Estrogen makes women emotional and sensitive and all that stuff. But men also have estrogen. If you're on testosterone or you're trying to optimize your testosterone, you're trying to balance your estrogen and your testosterone so that you feel good. Okay, that's the number one goal of testosterone therapy. But to say big picture, these estrogen chemicals, these endocrine disrupting chemicals, okay, endocrine system, are basically bonding to the cells in your body everywhere. Okay.
Wow.
Not just your estrogen cells, though, your estrogen receptor cells, also your androgen receptor cells, which are androgens are the response hormones for testosterone, for signaling. So like your androgen receptor is what the testosterone molecule binds to. So what we found out, and no one knew, and this is where it's all novel and it's brand new stuff, is not only is it increasing estrogen, right? We know we have soy boys. We know we have all these young men that look like women. They're softer, fatter, all these negative effects of higher estrogen. It's also binding to the testosterone or the androgen receptors, which is now blocking testosterone, what is called transduction at a cellular level from attaching to the androgen receptors. So guess what? Even if you're taking testosterone, it might not be working because of these things. Yes, and you need a higher dose, and you're not going to get the higher dose because most doctors don't understand this. It's a mess. Now, that's about as far as I'm going to go, with the explanation of it, but it's so vicious knowing this that if a person does not have this knowledge and does not consider optimization, Jeff, you have what you and I, which I will share the screen right now, you have a very, very strong possibility of dealing with what is about to come, which is this article that you and I were just looking at right here. This is right yesterday in the Mirror of London. Human race faces extinction if male sperm count continues to fall worldwide. Now, guys, this is not a fake news, sensational article. As Jeff knows, I've talked about this before. The study that these guys are actually basing their information is in my book. It's called the Hebrew University Study. It's from 2017 in July. It was a 30-year study on all the continents.
124,000. That's a rather large control.
Europe and the USA, and it was also Australia. And what they found out was that by 2040, and again, this is a prediction because they don't understand, things can change based, especially at the rate of decline and obviously the EDCs. And they don't even know about testosterone resistance syndrome. We're bringing that to the public. But by 2040, men will be wholly infertile. So our argument, actually, when we talk about this next Thursday, is that it's way worse than that. And that if men do not take radical steps to basically optimize themselves, and that can be, primarily it's through using testosterone in some form or fashion. And if it's not using testosterone, it's like doing everything that you can in your life to get rid of endocrine disruptive chemicals in your environment and to do everything that you can do naturally. But be very honest with you, and not to be a shill, because obviously I'm pro-testosterone. You have to have really optimal advanced genetics to avoid these EDCs without using testosterone. So again, I'm going to talk about that in my webinar, which is next Thursday at 6 p.m. Anybody who's watching.
I have to pipe in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because if you're sitting in the chat room and you're saying Jay's full of shit, I want you to do something. I want you to go on to my YouTube channel. Just look up Jeffrey Darty YouTube or Christian Whistleblower. Yep. Go on there, and what is this? This is November or October of 2018, right? Yep. Go back and watch any of my videos from 2017 or before. Just go watch any of them.
Yeah.
From before I met Jay Campbell and started into following your recommendations and your books to where I am now. Go look at a couple of those videos, come back here, and still tell me that Jay's full of shit.
No, bro, honestly, look, man, I'm not bragging about this, but I'm a visionary. I see things way before people see it. And
I'm in my prime, Crystal.
Most people in common society don't see these kind of things, but this is like one of the gifts that I have, is to do the studies, to do the work, to do the research. There are very, very smart people that have seen this coming, and they kind of talk to me and communicate with me. And I'm just, like I always say, I'm stepping on the shoulders of other giants. But I have been piecing this together. When I wrote about my first book, the TRT manual in 2014, I put a whole chapter in there about this. I said, look, what people are not taking into account is the modernization of global society and the downstream effects of all these plastic byproducts and all these other things. This is also going to carry over. Well, here we are. It's 5 years later. It's 5 years later, and it's out there. And guys, again, you could, say I'm a liar, a scam artist, I'm trying to sell a webinar, whatever. But at the end of the day, all you have to do is go out in society and look around. Men are not men, okay? And women, for the most part, are crazy because they're chemically castrated by these chemicals.
And why don't you just shut up? Because you're going to spend $49 at Starbucks this month.
Look, I could charge less, but I'm bringing one of the top physicians in the entire world on. This isn't probably for the Decoders of Truth or for, your YouTube channel. This is for people that are using testosterone, or it's for people that are truly concerned about their health. I mean, I'm not saying that you're not capable, because every person should listen to this. Yeah. But it is $49. And in my opinion, if you cannot afford $49 for your long-term, lifelong health and happiness, then your priorities are all wrong. But you're right, Jeff. I mean, that's a week's worth of fast food. I mean, that's 2 6-packs or, 2 12-packs of beer.
Is beer that much these days? And let's not even talk about it.
I have no idea, dude. I mean, in LA, I'm sure it is. I'm sure a 12-pack of beer is probably like 14 or 15 bucks, I'm sure. So with food and stuff, yeah. I mean, but I don't know. I have no idea. I haven't bought a beer in 15 years. I wouldn't have a clue.
Me either.
But anyway, it is, all this is true. It's really, really bad. I'm with the following month, I'm doing another webinar with a guy who's one of the top researchers in the world, Dr. Anthony J., which we've talked about his book, Estrogeneration. He's an
that's right. Yeah.
Researcher. He's literally like one of the top researchers in the world. And he has already talked with me and Keith because we've already had a conversation with him about our theory. And he's like, dude, I will support it. I will help you guys with the research. He goes, I 100% agree with it. He was mind blown when we brought this up to him because he's like, I don't know how anybody hasn't seen this or thought of this. And we're like, well, no one's doing the research like we're doing, on testosterone and then, seeing guys and what's happening with it around the world. But anyway, it's a very serious situation and you need to be armed and educated about what's happening to yourself, because if you don't, man, there's no future for mankind. There isn't. We're done.
It's over. It's over.
There's no more propagation, and it's over. And again, that may be what these people want, Jeff, or these people being whatever is in charge of us.
And I remember you said to me one time, Jay, and you said this to me several months ago, and I kind of rolled my eyes when you said it. You said, you will, and I'm kind of talking, anyway, you said to me, you will divide your life into before testosterone and after testosterone.
And you're right. And I was right.
You were right as rain.
Yep. And everybody who's on testosterone, and again, you don't have to naturally be on testosterone, and that's always the best strategy because, as I just said, it's the kind of the big tank or the big hammer in the tool belt. And you can try to naturally optimize by eliminating EDCs and being like anal retentive about everything, preventing all the chemicals in your life, eating a super clean diet, doing everything right. But testosterone is the 1,000,000-pound, the 800-pound gorilla.
You do both.
You can use testosterone and then not have to concern yourself with as many of the other things because it supersedes and helps optimize in the presence of all the other bad things. But if you don't, you got way more work ahead of you. And, one of the great doctors that I work with in my book, he writes, well, what if you want to be one of those guys that's like, I'm not going to use testosterone. I don't want to get a script for it. I don't want to play that game. I don't want to go down that path. And I want to just do everything naturally. He literally says, and again, he's one of the top doctors in the world. He's been prescribing hormones for 22 years, Dr. Kavanaugh. He's on my Wednesday podcast. He says it's less than 5% of men over the age of 35 can do that.
Really? So, less than 5% of men over the age of 35 can turn themselves around without hormone optimization?
Yes. And again, when you guys hear the podcast with Keith or my webinar with Keith, for people that are lucky enough to be on there, you're going to be mind blown, man, because like him and I have, done a couple of dress rehearsals and I've obviously read all his research. And him and I are also doing a big presentation at the Swiss seminar at the end of October in Canada, in Toronto. And that's honestly the world's leading science symposium for advancements in human performance and all that stuff. And, him and I have been chosen to speak about this and also therapeutic testosterone. So it's a total honor. But this is going to be making the rounds. By 4 or 5 months from now, this is going to be big news. It's going to get out there. It's definitely going to be out there because people are going to be aware of this. But it's very unfortunate, man. We've destroyed our environment, and these are the downstream effects.
And the reason why I talk about it so much, and the reason why I get together with Jay when I can go live on my channel to talk about it so much, is because you don't understand how powerful you can be. You don't understand how much traction you can get in your spirituality when you are physically optimized and you're clicking on all cylinders and you're rocking and rolling and you wake up before your alarm, you're out of the bed, you're in the gym, you're hitting the weights, you're doing your cardio, you're chasing your wife or your girlfriend around the bedroom, you're feeling great and you're just ready to rock and roll, man. And physical optimization is a great catalyst towards spiritual optimization. That's why I talk about it so much and bring Jay on to talk about it, because he actually knows what he's talking about when he talks about it. All I know is it works.
Well, Jeff, you know what it is now too, because you're living, breathing. But I mean, Baines talks about physical optimization. Look what you've already gotten to that chapter. I mean, that was, I highlighted that section, just to support what I'm doing. But listen, at the end of the day, we've talked about this before. If you do not have a vessel that can get you through this toxic fishbowl, soup bowl, matrix, then, how can your life be enjoyable? Really, no matter what you do, how can you be enjoyable if it's painful for you to move around, to ambulate, to do anything, to bend over, to pick up your kids, to walk? If you walk from your car to your garage or your house to your garage and you're out of breath, how is that living life? How is that happy? You are out of breath. it's simple to me. And again, I'm not judging you if you're not healthy and you don't take care of yourself, but you just got everything wrong, man. The system has chosen or told you that it was okay to desecrate your physical body. And if you've gotten to that point, you need to take steps to correct it. Otherwise, you're just not going to be, the best that you can be. It's that simple.
Yeah. It's very interesting. And, I was off of caffeine for a few months and I decided to go back on it. People talking about caffeine in the chat room. I don't think caffeine's the devil.
No, it's not. I mean, I'm on caffeine. Listen, if you're a producer, if you're a content creator, if you're a conscious co-creator and you're on the go like Jeff and I are, and we're putting out prodigious amounts of content, you got to have stuff that keeps you going. I mean, I was at this doctor's conference over the weekend, and Jeff, we'll do a show because the conference that I was at was like one of the top physicians in the world. It probably, in my opinion, the best physician in the world around the realms of optimization. And one of the presentations was about supplementation and what a person, male and female, should be doing to fully optimize, like all the natural supplements, in addition to being hormonally optimized. And I have everything. We can talk about melatonin. We can talk about magnesium. We can talk about niacin. There's so many things that I, added to as far as to my arsenal. I mean, I know a lot of it, but it really solidified a lot of the things. And it's mind-blowing. There's a lot of things that people can do that don't cost a lot of money, that doesn't take, super brain power or firepower in your intellect to really fix things, to make things a lot better for yourself.
I drink distilled water exclusively, by the way, Scott.
Again, here's the thing. I always say this, and this is, again, this goes back to my webinar, but there really isn't a way today to live organically or naturally. If you're buying your food at Whole Foods or at Trader Joe's or some other organic distillery and you think you're getting, wild-caught game or grass-fed beef or whatever that's not contaminated, you're deluding yourself. It's not possible.
Organic doesn't mean
it's not possible.
Letters on a package.
Listen, the smartest guy in the whole world right now on this topic is a guy by the name of, we've talked about this before, Jeff, Dr. Zach Bush. And I will see him present in 3 weeks in Tucson at AMMG. He is actually going to be coming on my podcast pretty soon. And he has tested the water table all over the world. He has information on all of the land from a farming standpoint, from an agricultural standpoint. It's a scam.
Yep. From the chat room, our physical vessel health is necessary for spiritual health. I agree 100%.
Yes. There's no possible way that you can maximize your antenna. Remember, guys, we're just.
And it may not be, just because you're physically optimized doesn't mean you're going to be spiritually optimized.
No.
That's the only chance you got, cousin.
Exactly. You got to still do the work. I mean, remember, there's plenty of people out there that have amazing bodies and they have nothing inside.
Exactly.
They're narcissists. But when you are physically optimized and you feel good, that antenna is lined up for downloads, as Jeff has said many times before.
Absolutely.
Communicated many times
That's very good, Jay. I've never thought of it that way. That's exactly right. You're increasing the strength of your antenna reception.
Of course. I mean, that's what Gerald talks about.
Your channel.
That's all Gerald talks about, and that's why he got into structural integration. You're tuning your vibratory frequency by having your antenna lined up.
You keep telling me you're going to get Gerald on my channel, and he's still not on my channel.
That's a conversation for off the channel, but I think it's going to happen. We spoke this weekend for the first time, and I said, look, dude, you can have full control of the narrative, because Gerald, I love Gerald, but Gerald, in his ways, I feel for him because people constantly ask him to tell the story every time he comes on people's shows. And he's I'm so done with that. And so he knows that we're very advanced. And I'm like, dude, you just call the shots, give me the bullet points, control the narrative, and we'll just follow what you want to say. But I'm going to challenge you. So it's going to be challenging. I mean, it'll be good for you because I'm going to challenge you. But he'll eventually come on. He's just right now going through periods of he doesn't understand what's going on. I didn't want to, that's what, it's so funny you just said that because that triggered my memory of when I lost earlier in the day. So this is what Gerald said in his message to me on Saturday. It might have been Friday. It was Friday or Saturday. And I haven't spoken to him in over 3 months. He sent me a message. We communicate via Facebook. He's in Mexico. He's off the grid. And he said, that what is going on right now, the only way he can surmise it is it's a war between aliens, demons, and angels. And there are no sides to pick or to be on. And the only thing you can do is just observe. It's so true.
And
Like
just
my
wait for them to
brain was
destroy
like,
each other and deal with the aftermath.
there's no way to know what is actually going on. If this is truly the end of the age,
I like that.
We kind of feel like it's the end of the age. And there's all these forces.
Now, be nice in the chat room. I don't want to have to boot you.
There's all these forces vying for control of us, vying for us as fuel, vying for us to get wherever they got to go before the end of day, whatever. I mean, that's a really good way to look at it because it's impossible to figure out what's going on right now.
Yeah.
There's no way.
You know what? Maybe we don't even need to figure out what's going on. We just need to. It's like Derek says, all you can really do is prepare spiritually.
Exactly. All right, so
love your neighbor, be a good citizen. It's like the great American philosophers Bill and Ted said, just be excellent to each other and things will work out.
Exactly. So Jeff, we've been on literally 60 minutes right now, 59 minutes. And I want to read half the questions. And that's all we're going to do is we're going to read them. You can throw comments in obviously for the Great White Brotherhood, and then we'll read the rest half questions next week. Now, guys, just a real quick update. Bob is a big fan of me and Jeff. Jeff, you haven't seen the latest email from Bob yet. I'll send it to you. We'll talk after. It's awesome, dude. He really likes us. He gets a lot of feedback from people that follow him about us, and he's like, you guys are doing great work. And
excellent. That makes me feel good.
He's been again, to his defense, he's been so accommodating. I want to say this, by the way, because I'm getting a lot of pushback from people out there in the public on the Great White Brotherhood. The Great White Brotherhood is not the Great White Brotherhood that you think they are, okay? They have been imitated, duplicated, defrauded, scammed. If you go on Google right now and you search Great White Brotherhood, you're going to get 90% bogus hits, 90% bogusness, Wikipedia, all nonsense and bogus. Etheric, astral entities, probably not good, whatever. Now, greatwhitebrotherhood.org is the only site that you should trust. Now, remember, this is a site that only came upon existence in the last year and a half. Oh, by the way, as soon as Bob Sanders showed up on the scene, it's actually 2 years. I think it was like in the end of 2015. So bottom line, nobody knows everything. I'm not going to tell you guys that the Great White Brotherhood is talking to God. If they are just ascendants or people that have, been able to take their consciousness over 800, 900,000, whatever they are, and they have information and they're sharing it with us in this great time, then you know what? I'm blessed. Jeff's blessed. You're blessed to hear it. Don't come at us and say they're, fake. It's a reptilian decoy, blah, blah, blah. Because, dude, I'm getting so much of this from people. I have had personal, as has Jeff, conversations with Bob. I cannot tell you guys, and obviously I also resonated. I've meditated on this. I've prayed on this. I do not sense him as a dark, malevolent being. Watch his videos, okay? Listen to how he communicates with people. He always tells people he doesn't lie. He doesn't make stuff up. He tells people to their face in his videos. The Great White Brotherhood will say to me, I, as a human being, cannot understand the answers to some of the questions that people ask because it's not in a three-dimensional construct that you can even understand. Sometimes they don't answer questions that are given to them because they're like, the answer wouldn't make sense to you. And then people get upset and people get mad and say, oh, they're fake, blah, blah, blah. But guys, it's so simple. Time also doesn't exist. We create time in three-dimensional worlds. If you're outside of this dimension, looking down or looking up or wherever it is, you could be right here, right now, invisible next to me and Jeff. There is no time.
That's right.
So stop with this three-dimensional thought processes and this, matrix programming and this delusion that you have because of this conditioning that you've been given since birth or since 5 or 6 when your soul was enslaved.
Or at least just don't bother us with it.
Yeah, I mean, when we have this man on, I expect that we're going to have 1,000 people plus live watching. We might have 2,500. We're going to blow this up over the next 2 weeks. Okay. And
I'll make sure we have extra moderators that night, Jay.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even then, it doesn't matter. I just want people to understand that this guy, I just don't get any bad vibes from this guy. I really don't. And again, the Great White Brotherhood has been defamed, demeaned, And again, just greatwhitebrotherhood.org. Read the books. Please, for the love of God, read the books and then come back at me and Jeff and say, wow. And tell us that this is bogus, or tell us that it's fake or that it's fraudulent. We can't prove that it isn't. But again, all we can go by what our heart tells us, by what we resonate internally. And I'm telling you guys right now, I don't get any negative from Bob. Okay, here's the questions real quick. Jeff, just jump in here and say whatever you want.
No, just throw them out there.
So there's 20 questions, guys. I'm going to do half now, and then we'll do half next week. Okay, first question, and I think we gave a couple of these questions last week, but who cares? I'm just going to put them out there. And I know we're at an hour, so we're going to knock out 10 minutes or less. Who are the Anunnaki? Are they the Nephilim, a.k.a. the fallen archangels? Is Yalda Baoth from Gnostic teachings, a.k.a. Lucifer, a.k.a. Enlil, a.k.a. Yahweh, a.k.a. Jehovah, a.k.a. the Lord of Abrahamic religions? How does Marduk fit into this? Is he at war with Enlil, or does he serve a dual purpose? How can you define the Archons in comparison to the Anunnaki? Are they a parasitic form of artificial intelligence, a black goose species? Remember, we brought this question up last week. That's number one. That's all one question. Number two, multiple questions a lot, and some of these are obviously staged parts. Number two, is Enki and his son Thoth in service and benevolent to the sapiens, us, cause, our cause, or are they just neutral, playing their role in the board game of life, appearing at opportune times as incarnated humans to serve a purpose of human advancement? I'm not going to go into this. If you have a question, Jeff, or you want to make comments, it's fine.
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, good. Number three is, who is controlling the political elites of the deep state, i.e. the cabal of Earth, the royal bloodline families? Is the Emerald Tablets who described this group as the Dark Brotherhood, or are they archontic parasites, or are they reptilians in the guise of human beings, which is what that guy Deke keeps saying on Twitter, or can they be both? Please answer each component of this question. That's number three. Number four, are the royal bloodline families, the Serpent Kings and the Sons of Serpents, as Michael Tessarian says in his book, identifiable as a species? Meaning, are they from a planet like the Anunnaki are said to be from Nibiru? Okay. Or are reptilian or Lyran or Arcturian or Nordic, etc.? What planets or dimensions do these beings come from? That's number four. Number five, are the Archons utilizing AI technology that is responsible for the cloning of celebrities and politicos? Can you talk more about cloning? Is it rumored that many of the chief political agents and Hollywood celebrities are cloned? We would love for you to answer this question deeply.
Wow.
That's number five. Is number six, is Lucifer an actual fallen angel? Has he evolved into the leader of the Dark Brotherhood, the Dark Legions, whatever they are, the minions of Lucifer? Or is it more of an energetic construct? What does Luciferian mean in today's day and age? It is apparent that many of our political leaders and Hollywood celebrities are Luciferians / Satanists. What is the difference between the two, if anything? The Great White Brotherhood tells us that Satan is a metaphor. So does the Bible. Okay, so let's stay there. That's number six. Number seven, what is the hierarchy of the Dark Brotherhood? It is our guess. It runs something like this: Lucifer, Archons, Reptilians, Greys, Biobots. Now remember, Lucifer would be technically the chief Anunnaki, whatever, Enlil, Marduk, I don't know.
This is going to be one hell of a show.
We would love a 3D, meaning a humanistic explanation of the Dark Legion's hierarchical power structure. Okay.
Wow.
Number 8, this is where it gets crazier. Is Donald Trump a representative of a Gnostic Illuminati faction, a breakaway civilization that's been in hiding for a long time? Is he working for the forces of good in the battle of good and evil? Is he a reincarnated Anunnaki god like Enlil or Marduk? Is he the great restrainer, as indicated by John Pennell, the author of the DivineSecretGarden.com? That's number 8.
What if he's the Antichrist to the system, Jay?
Well, exactly. Well, that's what John Pennella says. And again, you guys, if you're not following John Pennella on Twitter, please do. It's Divine Secret Garden on Twitter. He is absolutely amazing. He's a very humble guy. He will not respond to you, but he does respond to me because I've been emailing him for 2 years.
Yeah.
Number 9. So 2 more questions. Is QAnon legitimate in any fashion as a polarizing force to wake humanity up from their somnambulistic state, being connected to the human central computer. That's number 9, which I think you and I both agree. I think it's actually, that's what it is, and it is working. Number 10, are we getting close to the end of the age, however that is defined? Is the timeline going to shift select humans into higher expressions of their DNA? What happens to the people that don't experience the shift, i.e. the people in the somnambulistic state, the sleepers? A good explanation of this process, essential is what most people see it or think of it as, would be great for everyone. So those are the first 10 questions, guys. I think, as you can tell, these are serious. We thought very deeply about a lot of this. This is like probably at the top of every person who's ever been in the truther, community, the awareness community would ask these questions. And then we have 10 more, but we'll share with those to you guys next weekend. If you are a watcher of this show, you're watching this right now, and you feel like you could offer, secondary questions to some of these other questions, or you even think you have an amazing question that you would like answered, please email me. It's jay@trtrevolution.com.
And these questions are going to be answered by the Great White Brotherhood.
Through Bob Sanders.
Bob Sanders. Wow,
yeah,
I'm excited.
And by the way, they already have these questions. So I don't want anybody, same thing, Jeff, I don't want people coming at us and saying that you gave them in advance and, of course I did. Bob isn't like the Great White Brotherhood. He's not going to sit there and go into like glossolalia and have the words come out of him. I mean, they communicate. And he's very open and very honest. He does get this information channeled to him. He said that before we talk and we answer these questions, he's going to go deep into an explanation for everyone who watches the show live, how he's going to communicate or how they communicate to him so that there's no question. He wants people to be completely transparent. He wants to be as authentic as possible. He will tell you that if it's a question that they've told him that is unanswerable because we don't have in our 3D limited puny brains the ability to comprehend the answer, then they'll tell us that, or they'll tell him that, and he'll tell us that. Also, and you know this, Jeff, and this is awesome, the great folks at the FLFE, Focused Life Force Energy, are creating a massive field for this broadcast.
That's going to be awesome.
We're going to be in the 900s from a level of consciousness. So I do not see Bob capable of putting out any kind of fraudulent stuff. Now, remember, he doesn't do that anyway. He will tell us straight up if the question is unanswerable, that he can't answer the question.
I am very excited. When's that interview going to be, Jay?
So it's 2 weeks from today. So it's
because of my YouTube status, we wanted to wait till I was back on live.
And honestly, I feel like that's better anyway because I like keeping a schedule. I like people watching us on Monday nights. I think we have 2 weeks to really blow this up now. I feel like tonight's show has been pretty epic. I feel like it's going to get a lot of circulation.
People were saying I'm having a good hair night, Jay.
You're still looking lean, bro, and you're still looking good, and you definitely have your energy back. I know you went through a phase where you were like, man, I got to go through stuff. But, dude, as you know, what does not kill us only makes us stronger.
And that is the truth, ladies and gentlemen. There's no doubt about it. And, Jay, I appreciate you being a friend and being with me every step of the way, even though you were kicking my ass most of those steps for a while. But I love you, bro.
No failures, dude. All learning experiences. I mean, real quick before we jump off here, any questions you guys have real quick, just type them in real quick. We got like 8 or 9 minutes and then we'll bounce off. Are you dying? Are you tired? Are you passing out, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm about there.
You're literally, okay, so you have like 2 minutes before we sign off, guys.
You do. You have 2 minutes because I'm out of here.
He's like, I'm toast. Awesome. Well, again, you guys, just real quick, I'm going to post in
Thank you, Catherine.
Yeah, I'm going to post on this channel the post from the Decoders of Truth so you guys can fact check us and look at all the videos. Again, watch the Robert David Steele video. It's really bombs in there. As I always say, if you guys want any copies of my books or anything, please send me an email. The best way, the fastest way is not to send me to my personal, is to send it to contact@TRT Revolution. And then, my assistants and people that work with me and stuff will send you the copies of the books. Yep. And again, support us, support Jeff, support his work, buy his books. Support the Focused Life Force Energy folks, sign up through us, through our affiliate links. And again, if you want to be a part of that webinar, it's totrevolution.com/webinar.
Excellent. And I appreciate all the support, guys, all the kind words and all the support through my little stuff over the past, few weeks. Appreciate it very much. Love you all very much. And it's just awesome. It really is.
Yeah, totally. And Jeff, you know what? If you want to go, dude, I'm like completely wired right now. And I'm meeting someone in like 15 minutes. I'll wait like 7 more minutes if you guys want to type questions in there, and I'll just try to like say the answers. And Jeff, you and I will talk later if you want to bounce.
All right, my brother. I appreciate it so much. Everybody, it's been my pleasure to be here on the Decoders of Truth channel, and we'll see you next week, probably back here, but then the week after, back on the New Cosmic Knowledge channel, ready to rock and roll with the Great White Brotherhood. And please go over and subscribe to Jeffrey Daugherty, YouTube, Christian Whistleblower, New Cosmic Knowledge if you haven't. Jay, a pleasure to be here. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much. We'll talk again soon.
Yep, I'll talk to you in the morning tomorrow.
Take care.
Okay, brother. Love you.
Love you too, bro.